So we've seen how to use an integration hub spoke to take an action by making a REST call to another system. Now we're actually going to show how to create an action that makes a REST call to an application that hasn't been pre-configured. So let's go to demo action for REST request. I'm going to change this out of the Jira spoke and put it in global. I can go ahead and categorize this one just like you saw earlier. Let's go ahead and copy down this name to the description and we'll get started. Now, just like our subflow that we configured, we do need to configure some inputs, and all of that's going to work the same. So we can go ahead and use this button to create inputs. What I'm really interested in showing you is how we can add different steps like you saw that were pre-configured. Now, first we can do stuff within ServiceNow, create tasks, look up records, create records, all that stuff. We have some utilities. We can run scripts. You saw that in the pre-built one. We can send notifications, send emails. We can build our payload in JSON or XML in order to be utilized in a REST call. Here's the integration pieces. So I've got SFTP, I've got REST. Down here I've got SOAP. I can use SSH. I can use JSON parsing and XML parsing. Lots of options there. I'm going to show you REST because I want you to see how this might actually work. We do want to configure a connections or authentication, whether it's basic auth, OAuth, or whatever. We want to define that elsewhere. So I'm going to skip over that for now. Creating a connection is not a big deal. You create it once, reuse it in any kind of action or subflows or flows that you want to. But down here, we can build our REST request manually. So we can say, hey, this is the path for the REST endpoint that we're talking to in the other application. Here's the request type we're going to do, whether that's get, post, put, patch, or delete. And then here's my parameters. I can add as many of those as I want, or I can add as many headers as I want. And you saw I can delete them as well when I click delete. This is how you'd manually build it. So maybe you've got a custom REST endpoint that you're trying to talk to. So you can do that and get it built and test it. I'm actually going to show you how you can automate that. So we can use an open API specification and import that open API. So if I wanted to, for example, pull in the Salesforce open API, I've got one for IoT Connect, so I just copy in the URL. If it was protected, I could provide a username and password and hit import, and it's going to go ahead and bring in that particular API structure so that I don't have to recreate all those query parameters and headers. So I've actually already have it loaded. There's Salesforce Connect, and notice now I've got this option of which operation do you want to do within that API, so I can click the down arrow, and I'll just scroll for a second, and you can see all of that got preloaded. And if I pick on, let's just do get activities, it's going to go ahead and populate the query parameters and the headers that were built into that open API, so I don't have to go do all this myself. That's how easy it is to configure a REST call to a third party or other application. And once I define this action, I save it, I publish it, and I use it just like we've shown in the subflows and the flows to be reused repeatedly and take that action several times over and over and over again.